What if I told you that there are some desk setup upgrades that you can make that will transform your desk completely, supercharge your productivity, and make you want to sit down and do work? I've spent the last 6 years changing my setup, taking it from terrible to something I'm extremely happy with, and my goal with this video is to help you do the exact same. Let's start with the very basics, and we're going to start with something that I'm actually sitting on. In my opinion, it's probably the most important investment you can make in your setup, and that is a good quality ergonomic chair. I've gone with this Human Scale chair. The reason I found this chair was actually from work. I was looking at Herman Miller, I was looking at Human Scale, I was looking at a ton of different brands. Decided to settle with this because I could obviously test it in the office. I knew what it was like, and I have no regrets. I sit in the chair 8 hours a day for the day job, and then thereafter on the YouTube channel or what have you for another probably 5 hours or so. If you're someone who's like that kind of, you love productivity, you're always at your desk, whether it be working or on side projects or whatever it may be, or even if you're just a gamer, your back will thank you. You'll get up after a long session looking at your screen and you'll find that you're still energized, you're not in pain or anything like that. And please try and stay away from those race or bucket seat type chairs, because they look cool, that's for sure, but they're in race cars for a reason. They're not meant to be comfort seats, so just bear that in mind. Second thing, and it's just right behind me here, not sure if you can see, and it's a notebook. So this is possibly one of my favorite things that's on my desk, and that has actually made me more productive. If you're kind of a creative like myself, you'll have random thoughts that just pop into your head, and what better way to get them down other than a notebook? I personally prefer the ones that are just blank pages, that way you can kind of draw diagrams, there's no lines messing stuff up. And get one that matches your setup. My setup's kind of black and bits of white with the mic. This notebook's black with bits of gold, and kind of I have the gold lighting going on. So yeah, get a notebook. It doesn't have to be anything crazy fancy or whatever. Just get something you can jot your thoughts down. I swap between that and my iPad. I always seem to go back to paper. It's just way better for getting kind of thoughts down and thinking out loud. So the next thing is the actual desk itself. Now, I'm not too precious on brands or what have you, but mine's actually an IKEA. And I think it was a kitchen top originally. Thankfully, I have a big enough room for where my desk is going, so I have the space and the ability to kind of store that. But a big thing for me is getting my elbows situated on the desk and having that kind of depth in front of me. It's massive when you may have a keyboard and mouse on the desk along with your PC, along with your monitor, along with notebooks and all this sort of stuff. You can just push the keyboard and mouse out of the way and do all your work. What I will say is, if you have the extra money that you want to spend, I'd recommend like a standing desk that is automatic height adjustable. Go for that instead of kind of the manual one that I have. That's probably the next thing I will upgrade. So next up, the lighting. As you can see behind me, there is a kind of tripod light over there that's also from IKEA, and then I have another little desk lamp that's in the corner there, also from IKEA. But it really adds a nice ambience to the room. It really adds a nice kind of warmth, and it's easier on your eyes than a big bright light that's kind of pointing at me right now for the camera. You don't have to break the bank or anything. These weren't too expensive. There's also another kind of light you can get your kind of local shops and stuff. That's just a simple desk light. A lot of them have a wireless charger included. It's great. It cycles between cold light, warm light, and all that sort of stuff. And there's also lights you can get that go on top of your monitor that light up your desk and just light up the monitor. They take that harshness off the screen, and I'd highly recommend it. They can completely change your desk setup. Next up, we have wireless peripherals. I think this was probably a game changer for me. I'm not sure why I didn't do it sooner, but as soon as I had kind of some form of money, I went and got myself wireless peripherals. I switch between a Mac and PC for work. So when I'm not working, it's usually my Mac Mini, and I use the Logitech MX Master as my wireless mouse. This thing, I have it years and it's been flawless. The battery life literally lasts months. Rarely have to charge it. You have a side scroll wheel. You have a ton of different features. It's one of the best well-regarded mice, I'm sure you know by now. And then I've paired that with the Apple Magic Keyboard. I think it's a great keyboard. It's a nice slim profile. I can type pretty fast on it. The only thing I will say about it is I can get nearly like hand fatigue if I'm using it for too long. I think that's just because of the profile of the board. So if that's not kind of your thing, or you're solely a PC kind of person, or you just like mechanical keyboards, I'd recommend going for a mechanical keyboard. Next massive upgrade for me is the monitor itself. I have a 27-inch Lenovo 4K monitor. It is fantastic. If you're sitting at your desk 8 hours, 10 hours a day, whatever it may be, and you're looking at a screen, why not make the screen look great? That's kind of my point of view anyway. Some people are into their ultra wide monitors, some people like multi-monitor setups. I've had all that, and I found that the one monitor for me keeps me laser focused and kind of forces me to prioritize. Whereas I've noticed if I have a 2-monitor setup, I'll have one monitor watching a YouTube video and the other monitor trying to do some form of work, and I can never really focus on one main thing. Also, a key for me is I'm not using the monitor stand that came with it. I'm using a separate monitor arm. I highly recommend that you do the exact same, because you can customize the height. If you're tall, if you're small, whatever seat you have, all this sort of stuff, it'll be suited to you ergonomically, and you won't get any of this kind of neck strain or like slouching down or like all this sort of stuff. You can rectify all of that. Next big one for me is improved audio. There is a debate out there. Do you go for speakers or do you go for a headset? Personally, I've went with both. Now, not at the same time. Over time, I've just gradually got both. 2 reasons for that. One, at nighttime, I'm really recording this video at night when I probably shouldn't be. But at nighttime, when you don't want to be disturbing people, I throw on the Beyerdynamic DT770 Pros, and they're fantastic for just kind of keeping everything insulated. Great sound. I've done a video on that if you want to check it out. But fantastic pair of headphones. And then I also have the Razer speakers. I went with the like RGB ones because why not? Who doesn't love some lights that change color? They're really punchy speakers. I love them. They look cool. They're not something you see in your like typical speaker every day. You don't have to go with both, but it is a massive upgrade if you do improve your audio. If you're on a budget, I'd recommend going with something like the AirPods. Now, take that with a grain of salt. I know they're not cheap, but my point being that you only have to buy the one and they'll kind of work with all of your devices. You can take them to the gym, come home, use them with your setup, and you'll get more money's worth than going around with massive Beyerdynamic headphones in the gym, which I wouldn't recommend. Next, and one that's probably been talked about from the dawn of YouTube time, is desk plants. So there has been multiple studies done that people that have desk plants actually focus more, and they're more, I don't know, they have an uplifted mood or something. It's pretty crazy, the science behind it, but I suppose seeing nature calms us. It's, we're human after all. It is part of us. So I am not doing much for that. Like, I do have plants on the desk, and I have a bonsai tree and little like cacti or like succulent kind of plants, and they're all fake. So apparently it doesn't matter if they're fake or not. It's just the fact that it's a splash of green in amongst kind of a very modern setup that really makes the difference. So if you don't have a plant, real or fake, I recommend you go and get it. That said, speaking of desk plants, if you're in the mood to kind of plant a seed and grow something, see where it goes, I recommend you start a YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, check out my video up here on how starting a YouTube channel could change your life. It's changing mine as we speak, so I recommend you go and start that and see if that's something that you want to explore. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.